Issue 182. Knuckles starts out the story by saying that his power will bring them a tomorrow free of suffering, but then acts as if a tomorrow free of technology is equal to that, which is really stupid because it'd be the opposite. What about all the sick people reliant on medicine and stuff to stay alive? Without technology, people would suffer a lot more. And that's just one of multiple examples. Idiot. And it's not in a terrible for his character sense, because plenty of other echidnas have shared that anti-technology belief too. Sally tells him that his power brought devastation to Angel Island. No, it didn't. It took the people away from it, but it didn't destroy it in any way, not even damage it. How is it devastation? This whole treating him like a pure evil villain thing is really forced and clumsy. It's like with Merlina all over again. At the very least, have a villain do something evil first before they're treated like one. Nicole then tells Knuckles that technology, among other great things, has given her a chance at life. That's a good point. If Knuckles gets rid of all technology, he'll kill Nicole in the process. Also, how much counts as technology by his definition? Because that armor suit he's wearing could count as technology. Knuckles proves he's brainwashed, I guess, by saying he's very disappointed in everyone, and almost gets rid of Julie's unique cybernetic hair for her own good, but Sonic prevents him from doing that at the last second. Shadow then shows up saying that he's an agent of Gun now all of a sudden, and they don't explain why he joined it. I can assume it's because he wants to be a savior of the world without kowtowing to Sally and her friends, and thus admitting that he likes Sonic, but to go from hating Gun for killing Maria to working for them really needs a better explanation when he has better options. And I expected the comic to explain that more when the games didn't. Sonic gets grabbed by Interjack's evil green energy beam, and for some reason I can only assume it's arrogance, Sonic doesn't take him seriously and just continues to taunt him about his name, before ending off that Interjack sounds like some kind of sports drink. And he doesn't even know he's Knuckles yet. I guess maybe he recognized Knuckles' scent and subconsciously realized he shouldn't take him seriously. But I kinda take Knuckles seriously. He's more badass than Sonic in the personality sense. As Sonic is sent flying into the library, Shadow says the amount of Chaos energy he has makes him a living Chaos Emerald. Shadow removes his inhibitor rings because those are a concept used in the comics suddenly, which is good, and taps fully into the Chaos Force. So wait, he exploded all those Neo-Metal Sonics with just a raise of his hand without taking those rings off? And no, I'm not gonna let that go, not unless they explain why he can't do that ridiculously powerful shit anymore. He does a Chaos Blast, and as Sally and Nicole hide behind some trees, Sally naturally complains that the whole city might be torn apart. Nicole says she'll divert all the power she can to keeping things intact, but even if she fully shuts down her body, she doesn't have enough power to raise the energy shield to protect the city from Eggman. Snively says to Eggman that since Shadow's there, the heroes may have bypassed his signal scrambling, and he says that Sonic may find out Eggman lied about the world turning its back on Knothole. Eggman brags that Interjack's power will be great for his next big project, and Snively has a great relatable line, "Of course, heaven forbid you take the direct approach and wipe them all out right now." Eggman says he's launching the Egg Fleet now since he promised to assist with Interjack, and Snively tells him the latest modifications to the Egg Grapes are complete and are ready for their guest. Interjack? Then Shadow, being curb stomped, throws some Chaos Spheres that are incorrectly colored red instead of green, and gets hit by a Thunder Arrow from SC2 that's green instead of yellow. Knuckles' helmet gets taken off, stunning Sonic for a bit, and after Sally rallies everyone up against him, Knuckles uses his powers to freeze everyone in place and gives them a speech. "I'm profoundly disappointed by all of you. You've known me to be your friend, as a hero, and yet you turned on me." I don't blame him at all, he's got a good point. Although, much like with Turbo Tails last time we saw him, I don't see why him being all powerful would make him suddenly try to talk all formal. He said, "I thought my friends would accept my generous offer. I will set everything right." He says that this world must be purged with fire, as Phanidus had shown him. So Phanidus is totally insane then to randomly want to destroy the world, leaving himself with nowhere to live. And this really does prove that Knuckles is under a spell, since he wouldn't have decided to do this normally. Sonic of all people is the one to reason with Knuckles that he isn't being himself, and then says, "Reshaping the world with a bunch of chaos power hocus pocus just isn't you." I guess that's supposed to be a take that to Penders' 25 years later arc where Knuckles would do exactly that. Sonic says Phanidus must have messed with his brain, and then Knuckles says that the world is undeniably corrupt. Which it is, but still, there's still good people in it. After Eggman's egg fleet attacks him with teleporting beams, Knuckles uses a force field against them, but it's somehow futile despite being summoned by a living Chaos Emerald, and he's kidnapped to the egg grapes, much to the heroes' chagrin. To Sonic and Julie's shock, Sally says that she's not sure she should rescue Knuckles at all, because it means unleashing Enerjack on the world again. She's pretty smart and pragmatic for thinking like this, even if it means betraying a childhood friend. But should it be obvious to her that Knuckles was brainwashed and they just need to erase the brainwashing? Antoine then says, I think... Well, congratulations, Antoine, you actually got a line in for once! And it was a grand total of 2 words. Way to go! Especially annoying since his accent isn't even spelled out to say zinc instead, so it's like we just gave him a line to humor the character without thinking. Before he could ever say his piece on the matter, Sonic and Julie get warped to Locke with the warp ring. Locke says he knows everything, and then reveals that Finitevus has even blocked his ability to harness Master Emerald, meaning he can't undo the spell. Locke explains that not long ago, the Brotherhood prepared for Enerjack's potential return, but Finitevus had set the Destructix to guard the device. Sonic reassures Julie that Knuckles will be back to normal in no time, but then the story ends with Locke saying that the device will destroy his own son. Wow, they really mangled his character towards the end. I know he was tortured for a year, but to the point of making him evil? And they never even mentioned that this might be a reason he turned so bitter like this. So Knuckles wants to fight Eggman instead of sitting on a big shiny rock. Whatever, that's no excuse. Then the next story has Gala of Albion giving a holographic message to someone, saying that all is lost. When it was decided that the green Knuckles had to be contained, part of the operations were headed by Dr. Finitevus, who looks harmless here, in his Chaos Siphon suit. I don't remember a suit. I remember him being attacked by the Chaos Siphon, but no suit. He attempted to release much of Knuckles' power, but instead he was bathed in intense chaos energy from Knuckles, which changed him. He woke up in the hospital with his familiar design right away, including the cyborg guys. I guess I can only assume that the cyborg guys were given to him by Albionians, because why would a magical energy blast do that to him instead of killing him? Why would he even get improved by the Chaos Blast at all, instead of just dying from it? Finitevus' physical and mental traits were somehow enhanced, but he soon began violently condemning the state of the world society, because I guess the Chaos energy decided to make him go insane like Dimitri out of sheer dickery. That's not a proper Freudian excuse! Have his childhood suck or terrible things happen to him. It doesn't make any sense for him to turn evil just because he was given magical powers. This is Dimitri all over again. Then it's explained that Finitevus had become a photo negative of Knuckles. How does that make sense? He's a person, not a photo thing. The ones who theorized this explained the ancient lore of an Avatar protector contrasted Finitevus' radical destructiveness. So he became the closest Knuckles has, as far as we know, to an actual evil twin, since his anti-Knuckles isn't really evil, just a pacifist. Finitevus became a mad scientist and escaped Albion's efforts to put him down. I like that they're pragmatic enough to at least try, but they weren't pragmatic enough to think to try to kill him in his sleep. He sabotaged all of the Albion's defenses, leading an invasion force from the Eggman Empire right into Albion, causing Eggman to level the city and begin capturing them all. So typical of the comic. Just when you think that a villain is written well because they're doing good things like an actual person was instead of always doing evil all the time, they have to be revealed as just as one-dimensional and mindless as the rest. He has no actual reasons for anything he's doing. He's just insane. That's lazy writing if I ever heard of it. Remington shows Gala's message to Locke, and it's explained that the Echidnas from Angel Island are beginning to band together and scrape out a living in Albion. Why didn't Knuckles use his Enerjack powers to fix up Albion and make it a proper city before sending people to live there? Idiot. This issue was by Ian Flynn. The first story has Knuckles need to prove that he's not really brainwashed because he didn't try to destroy everything like Finitevus apparently wants right away, and instead had the free will to want to pursue his own goals to get rid of all technology, thinking this would be good even though Nicole's right there in front of him poking a huge hole in that. Does he not care about Nicole at all? I mean, I guess they have literally never had any good friendship moments together. But then it's revealed he at least has some brainwashing on him, since he comes to the conclusion that the world should be destroyed really easily. He then gets teleported to the life-draining egg grapes by Eggman, who he hasn't tried to kill with his power yet for some reason, with Sally being actually hesitant to save him, showing the pragmatic shoot-the-dog side that she showed when she said that she wasn't sure if she wouldn't have ordered the Robian Soul be executed if she knew that they could be turned against everyone by Eggman. And just when Locke looks like he's willing to help out, he says that he wants Sonic to use the weapon of the Albions to destroy his own son. I hope they explain this as his being tortured for a year or so, because this really looks like they mangled his character. The old Locke I know would never even suggest that. In fact, one of his most dominant character traits in the Knuckles comic was being overprotective of Knuckles. And this is the exact opposite. And the second story, about Finidevus' origin, is pretty much a disappointment. I thought he'd have at least some sort of reasonable explanation for why he's evil, because he looked well written before, doing relatively good things like freeing the Destructors from life-draining machines, and getting them to defend Echinopolis. But then it's explained that rather than him turning evil because Albion scientists experimented on him and turned him against the world, which I assumed was the case, instead he doesn't even have that as an excuse to hate humanity. He just became a violently destructive madman because he got magical powers. Because Knuckles blasted him with chaos energy off screen, and somehow that turned him into his evil twin instead of, killing him or injuring him. Like Knuckles obviously intended, it was probably telling his chaos energy to do. Why would his chaos energy do this to him when he didn't want it to? This is so irritating. I'm still interested in seeing Finidevus in the comic because I love his design and abilities. But why the hell is almost every villain in the comic a completely one-dimensional, mindless cartoon villain? Why are villains in Sonic so allergic to good writing? Why is it so hard for a villain in the Sonic series to be a believable character with actual motivations and reasons for why they're villains, and even one single sympathetic trait like actual human beings? It's not believable at all, it just comes off as lazy. It's sad to think that Dimitri is the only villain other than Shadow with any sort of grayness to his morality. Every other villain is just born pure evil, and it's hard for me to believe that with so many of them. I mean, some people are just jerks. I get that. I live in the real world, which is full of them. But it's still better writing to have villains, like any other characters, have actual effort put into them, to have proper backstories explaining why they're the way they are, and relatable sympathetic traits like an actual person would. It's effort. Instead, every villain is only there to be puppeteered by the writer to be an antagonistic force, even though they have absolutely nothing to gain from it. Somehow, he manages to be even worse written than Robotnik. And I mean the original Robotnik, who banned music of all things. At least Eggman wants to rule the world, which dictators do in real life. Finidevus wants to destroy it so he'll have nowhere to live and nothing to do. That's smart. For a scientist. Who, according to this panel, supposedly always had the name Dr. Finidevus, even though that's such an obvious villain name. I half expected that his backstory would be that Eggman experimented on him. Like, he was in the egg grapes, wasn't he? That would also explain why he went insane, as well as why he has those magical technomage powers. But we don't even get that. He's just, here's a bad guy. The end.